Well, welcome to the Scaling Tech Jojo podcast. I'm your host, Mark Morman, and today I'm thrilled to have MB. He's the founder and VP of Engineering at LeadDuo joining us. MB, your journey in the AI OS space and your unique approach to building solutions are truly inspiring. Thank you for being here. To kick things off, could you give our audience a little background about yourself, your company, LeadDuo, and your vision for the future of AI in business?
Hey, thanks, Mark, for having me. I really appreciate. My background, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started this about 4 years ago. But at LeadDuo as a product, we started development sometime last year. But we have other products as a company. The LeadDuo product was right now our flagship. We started about a year ago. So the whole journey started in a very interesting way. So I had issues at home with the washer and dryer, and I also had issues with my HVAC that duct was, I think the bird built a nest and things were dryer wasn't working, and my solar wasn't working. So I had to call and coordinate with the multiple providers, play the phone tag, calling them. It was pretty time-consuming, painful process, and then really started thinking hey, why can't we build a software for this, the service business, and see what it is? So my MBA also really helped me, really started looking at it rather than just simply building it. I started looking at the TAM and SAM, and I realized that service industry was 500 billion, and the entire field service market industry was $3 to $4 billion. The other thing I looked at it, and which really gave me confidence, was that there are no big players, software giants like Salesforce, HubSpot. All these guys were not in this space, and the players there are big players, Jobber, Housecall Pro, Service Titan, and their combined revenue was more than $1 billion. Realized, okay, hey, there is a huge opportunity here. And I also continued my research. I didn't start there. I started, hey, I wanted to see it's a growing industry, new business starting. Am I going to compete for the same pie? So I started looking at city databases. I went to every major city metropolitan here, SF, New York, Chicago, San Jose, Dallas. Every major city they published that. I realized they published the new business launching every month. So I found out that every month about 300 to 400 new service business, whether cleaning or landscaping or commercial, being launched. Small service business, people are launching their own business. So that gave me confidence, hey, this is a growing, it's not stagnant, and there are about 1 billion workers, whatnot. So I said, okay, hey, let's invest in this. And then I started looking at it, and all these big players were still doing traditional per seat pricing. They were charging per seat, and then also they were charging, as you add more features, complexity, they were charging more add-ons. So they were punishing the growth for small service business. So I said, oh, and last year when I started this, there was also not, AI adoption wasn't that big. So, but one thing we had a goal is, I want to build a software that doesn't punish the growth. I want to get away from per seat pricing and wanted to be, and I also didn't want to be a cheap kind of thing. That was not our goal. So we started building that. And I started putting my own personal funds. In fact, we did not raise any money from VC. Or my other products were revenue were generating. We invested that money into building this product. That's how the whole journey started. But as AI started picking up, when it became vibe coding into main coding, a lot of things have changed. And the speed at how we were able to achieve and deliver, I thought this is going to take about a year and a half or two. When I started late last year, we started somewhere around July, August timeframe. We started LeadDuo, and I thought it's going to take easily a year and a half or so.
Okay.
And 20 people, but we launched in January, in 4 months. That speed really helped, and we also started. So when we go further later, and I'll talk about it, how we really looked at the whole thing and how we changed and how we approached this problem. But AI speed really helped. We were able to build it with a very small team and completely rethink how, like, more of an outcome based. Everything that we said, hey, how we are going to achieve, automate everything, how we are going to reduce the manual, so that the small business owners, they spend more time in doing the work rather than doing the administrative. All these people, a lot of these people, they are good in doing the work, but they're very bad in communicating with people, right? So how do we automate it? How do we create the barrier, overcome the barrier so they can still provide excellent service and it looks pretty clean? So that's kind of how we ended up building this product and where we are today. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. I tell you what, because you brought up a lot of good points that we could go down. Let's talk about just industry trends and challenges. Your company LeadDuo, focuses on helping small service business like you touched on. That's kind of where you're focused, and that your MBA background, I could tell your analysis, your TAM, and saying, oh, that, kind of fits in. But however, your background is deeply rooted, in scaling engineering and building platforms.
Yes.
And so how do you see the current landscape for growth stage SaaS and companies selling to enterprise IT?
It's a great question. So yeah, so it's a huge shift has happened I would say in the last year or so. And I will start with this. So I would say about a year, almost even till end of last year, I would say code was expensive, engineer was expensive, and they are considered as a sacred resource. Everything that we do depends on availability of engineer, and we want to increase our velocity, hire more people. And when you also build a product, in my career, all along, what we have done is we used to do roadmap, we used to define milestones, and for every milestone, we used to define P1, P2. These are the critical features. These are nice to have. These are okay. If you have, it's great. So we used to do P1, P2, P3, P4, and like that. And P3 to P5, those are lower priorities. Very rarely we go and work on it. Now, code has become cheap. Code is not a problem. You can code everything P1 through P5, whatever you had in what used to take months, year, now you can do it in days. So code has become cheap. It's all about your code. Cost of code is cost of AI token usage. How much are you willing to pay to your AI tokens? That's kind of where it is.
There you go.
And the other thing that what we have also seen or changed is that the lines between the roles are blurred now. There is kind of now a product manager, he can code and launch a feature without engineer, just with LLM overnight. And the same, an engineer, in fact, my team, when we launched it, I will give an example also. We did localization. We support Japanese, we support Spanish, we support English. The reason we started with Japanese is because for our main product, our customers are in Japan. So that's why we said, hey, let's target Japanese and do. Earlier, when we wanted to do to any Japanese content, I have to work with translator. We do the whole marketing stuff. We send it. It used to take time for them to go through, come back. Now my engineer, whenever he launches it, it's like instantly we get Japanese to Spanish. What are the language? What are the localization? It's instant. There is no that you go back and forth, review, we got the feedback, now put it in a code, test it. The whole process is now in minutes. Now it doesn't take days and weeks, right? So those things have changed. So when I build a product now, you can be market anywhere in the world, and you can deliver them in the natural language to the audience. It's become very easy for SaaS companies. So they're not tied to single market. When you build it, it's all market is open. So those things have changed. As I said, the lines between engineers are blurred. So engineer can be the content writer, engineer can be the designer. And we used to have a designer. Now we don't have a designer at all. So all the things engineer works with AI, designs the UX. We use the new tools, Cloud Designer or Google Static. We do the design. We don't use the designer. We're very quick, very fast iteration. All happens in matter of minutes from weeks and days. So things have changed. So a lot have changed. What I see now as an engineering leader now, you have to be current in the trend. Otherwise, you are working behind like the old way style, legacy style, and you're going to lose the game. So that's kind of where I see. Sorry. Yeah.
I was going to ask you about, some of the challenges, and you really addressed quite a few of them there, right? And how the landscape has changed. But in terms of just talking about scaling operations and product, especially, you want to achieve a reliable, high volume performance without constant human.
Got it. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add there in terms of
So I'll give two examples. Actually, it's a great. So I'll give two examples. One on the product side and one on the reliability side. So product side. One of the things that we have really helped us, in fact, is that our entire marketing SEO is now automated. We don't do any agents basically every week. It runs automatic, goes and looks at all the competitor sites, Jobber, House Call Pro, everything, looks at and sees what new content they published, what keyword they're targeting, and it does a keyword research and comes up with suggestions and creates even blogs and templates for us. And then we manually review. Only thing that we do is review for accuracy, review for our tone. We have already told our agent how our tone is. So it's been our agents are trained. And so everything's automated. In the past, you need to have huge marketing. You have marketing media budget. You need to have people to do these things. And it used to take time. And we don't even use any third-party tools. Yeah. We don't even use any third-party tools because we felt that using a third-party tools, then again, we are thinking what they want us to think, how they want to think. It doesn't give us unique advantage. We don't even use third-party tools. We use our own agent. We did our own work. So our agents does SEO, NEO. We launch it. And in fact, that is how I got when one of our marketing push that we did, and we got a customer leads from UK and we got a lead from another country in Europe, and we were not even supporting the currencies and payment processing over there. And matter of day, we said, okay, yeah, we got a lead, and we had to say, hey, we entertained the lead. We talked to them within a day. We launched support for GPP, and everything was done in another market. Same thing we did. So it's really helped us to reach our. I'm just adding to the earlier thing that we said is now easily our SaaS product. Now we can easily target worldwide with a minimal effort, and the whole thing was automated. It was not like we were spending time and doing lots of human work. It's all automated.
Yeah,
that's on the operational and content side. On the reliability side, one other thing that where we have seen, and which I thought we'll add a bit later when we go down. My background has been, I've worked at one of the fintech that I worked in the past. I helped the company to scale from $50 million loan origination to 500 million. Things that I've learned, three things that we have always looked at it. First, design for failure before designing for success. We want to make sure when we design anything in a complex workflow or in a complex system, when it fails, what is a blast radius? How do we make sure when it fails, it doesn't bring down the entire system? How do we make sure that it can continue, replay from where it failed? And the keys and entity IDs, how do we, all those things are some of the learning experience. What I did traditionally is also now been using here in our agentic AI we use. And in fact, I published a LinkedIn post also about it, but I can touch it a little bit later. And the next thing that I've learned from my past experiences, observe everything. Make sure that when an agent or AI makes a decision or whatever it happens, what data, what was the context, why it failed, and how do we restore it, and how do we use that to learn and fix it, not repeat the same mistake. So one of the common things that people talk in agentic AI is agentic loop of death. If you don't correct it, it's going to make the same input, same try constantly, and you're just going to burn your AI tokens, and you're going to just end up with a lot of costs. So all those observe everything and reacting. The final thing which have been I look at it very clearly is human in the loop. Human in the loop, I'm looking at it as a design, not as an accident. We don't look at human involving at this stage in the whole agentic AI as a shortcoming. We look at it as a design. So everything that we do, our agent, we'll make sure we use LLM itself as a judge. We create a confidence score. And whenever we feel the confidence score is below a certain threshold, we make sure that we put it to the agent, a human to review and send it. So a simple example, let's say in our LeadDuo, let's say if somebody says, hey, I want to book an appointment for Monday. Simple example. So our system looks at it, generates it. For some reason, let's say if we see there is a conflict, or there is somebody has not booked it, or some issue with our agent doesn't feel confident in sending an email automatically. Yes, I have an appointment. It just creates a block and then sends it to the human, puts it in the queue, so our operator can look at it. Yeah, this looks okay. Yeah, I'm fine. I can send the email. It doesn't send it automatically. So we have confidence score. If it falls below the confidence score, we send it to the human for them to look at it and then react and then send it. So we don't send it. So this other thing, third thing that we do is human in the loop by design, not accident. So those are the three principles. I have been using it to reliably build and scale our AI system.
Excellent. Yeah, that's good. Let's talk about just AI. The AI powered solutions for just getting the efficiency operationally and from a development standpoint. You touched on a lot of good things. But from an AI standpoint, you mentioned building LeadDuo with a unique approach to keep costs down, and optimize for efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Your experience as a CTO and VP engineering, how has AI-powered solutions specifically addressed those challenges? Because you've touched on, on the product side, the deliverability, and to accelerate product development for growth stage SaaS companies. And I know you can't say a whole lot. You got to go and protect your IP there, right? But what can you share with the audience?
Yeah. So
you mentioned vibe coding.
So one thing that I'll just say, anybody who's building product, right? So I'll start with when we started building this, if House Call Pro or Jobber, if they started this, if anybody normal business, when a non-technical person comes and looks at what I try to do, is they're going to say, hey, Jobber or Service Titan or House Call Pro, they had 10 years of advantage. They came to the market 10 years sooner. And how are we going to catch it? But me, when I come with a technical background and looked at it, now I have all this power. I know what is there. So I looked at it. If Jabber builds it now, how would they have built it? So that is how I looked at it, and that is how we started it. And now we kind of removed all the legacy constraints because now resource code engineer, as I said earlier, coding is cheap and easy. Yeah, so that is not a problem. So we really looked at it. If they have started now, how would they have started? How would they have approached and solved this problem? So that is kind of how we approach this problem. And I feel now, so one of the things that I've seen in my startup career, sound startups, a lot of times what they look at is engineers or technology team as an execution team. They don't give the same place in the management, and oftentimes they don't have them on the table to discuss what we are planning to build, when to build and whatnot. Because if they don't use if your technical leader is not strong, doesn't know what is going on later, your decisions, what you're making, everything will be like 3 or 4 years ago, how things were done, and you're going to lose in the long run. So your technical leader needs to be really up with what is going on, current trend, understand, and you also need to give them a seat in the table at executive level. So when you do the planning, you can know. And the other thing, also what I've learned is in a lot of the technical things, when you do what is trivial, what is hard. And you need to make sure and the hard problems are going to be very rare with the current AI. So everything is, when I look at is the technical problems, I look at them as a trivial. It's very rare to have a hard problem. So you need to understand that and scope it. So the other, which again I said, keep coming back to the same thing, right? So if I have to build LeadDuo 3-4 years ago, easily this would have taken 18 to 24 months, 20 to 25 people. But we did it in 4.5-5 months with a very, very small team. I don't want to tell how many number of people, but in a very small team, we built and launched it in a very timely manner. That also, the other thing that's changed, the leader needs to be in the code. When I say in the code, means they don't need to know everything in the code. Not saying that, because things have changed, things move fast, so they need to understand how AI development is happening. What are things? What are all the stuff is going on, right? So the leader needs to be very well aware. So really to say, I look at it actually, earlier on, I said 3 things that I look at it, right? Now I have 3 frameworks that I tell my team all the time is, whenever we bring a new engineer interview, I kind of tell them, or when people ask me, I tell them, hey, rather than with AI, where things are going, coding, I'll tell them it's a 3-layer framework. The first one, about a year ago, everybody talked prompt engineering. We really need to say how and what we ask the model. Because there is no moat. Now LLM became cheap and there is no moat. I look at it, the moat comes from your orchestration and how you stitch your workflow, not your code. That has become cheap and free. That's I keep telling everybody. So it's a prompt engineering, how you work with prompt, what you ask and how you interact with LLM. The next one is being picked up and you would hear a lot is context engineering.
Yeah.
What you send it to the prompt, what data, what tools, how do we inject agent, and all those, like your agent knowing about your code base, your customer, your prior decisions, the feedback that come from. And off late, which is I think people would hear and which we have been putting a lot of focus also, is the harness engineering. It's the operational side of the what I call is operational side of our AI coding, which I look at it as the next first 3 to 6 months or maybe a year or so. That's I think where the future is really the guardrail. How do we make sure that it is doing what it is doing? How do we make sure that we capture all the audit trail and go through validate? And building the self-learning memory, whatever happened, the decisions happen, and looking at it and then feeding that back into the loop so that we don't make the same mistakes and stuff like that. In fact, when we started looking at all this data, when it came from and our agents was analyzing, one other thing that we saw, our end customers were asking the service business owners who are already live is, hey, did you really do the job? How do I know you did the job? So a lot of people are asking that. We saw that in our pattern, and we said our agent was saying a lot of intent, a lot of questions, follow-up questions came up, the people asking, did they really do the job? So we ended up saying, okay, how do we address it? Then, in fact, we launched a feature called Proof Pack. So Proof pack.
Okay.
That is a feature we launched it a month ago. It's purely based on looking at agents, some are looking at all the logs and intent and then classifying, and the agent suggested building it. When technician does the job, they take a before and after picture and AI validates it. Make sure that the picture is same, they've done the work, let's say if it's cleaning. Basically using AI, we run the picture before and after. Yeah, they have cleaned it and it sends it. And with the confidence, it sends it first to the manager, that when the tech sends it, it sends it to the owner or manager. Hey, here is a proof fact, here is a validation, here's a confidence score, it looks good. So the manager knows or the owner knows the person really did the work, whether they did bad. And then we started sending that back to, as we learned on some of the users initial, and then we started sending that in the invoice or email. Hey, here is an invoice, here is a proof fact that the job was done, here is a before picture, after picture, and our confidence, our notes, and whatnot. So it's really, I came all from harness engineering, looking at observing the data and what is happening and learning from that. And then our AI suggested, hey, let's build this feature and launch it.
Fantastic. Tell you what, that was I got more than what I asked for there. That
I know my
was
answers were long. Sorry, my answers were very
oh,
long,
that's,
but
no,
yeah.
it's really insightful. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, but let's just transition to just in terms of scaling and reliability. And you touched on this, but you've got a remarkable track record, of turning complex, high volume operations into systems that work reliably without constant human intervention, from Prosper Marketplace when
Yeah,
you're with them to
yeah.
auction.com. What are the key principles? I think you've really touched on some of these already, for growth stage SaaS companies to implement similar robust and scalable systems, particularly when integrating AI. And like I said, you probably answered. You want to add anything more? You touched on this when you were talking about
Yeah,
prompting,
yeah,
context,
yeah.
guardrails. But you want to add anything further to that?
So I think I also added earlier, and I touched on this, like designing for failure, observe everything, and
Oh, that's
human in
true.
the loop. I answered it earlier. So it really comes again. I'm going to say the same thing is coding is easy in this agentic AI world. It's infrastructure and maintaining the stability is the key and challenge. And then see, a lot of times what happens is pretty easy to build a demo system, but you can build it in a day these days. But making it production and running it and enterprise trusting it and business trusting it and running it is the biggest challenge. Infrastructure is still a huge challenge.
So
And
infrastructure. So coding's
yeah,
easy. Infrastructure and the other was
deploying and supporting basically the reliability is the challenge because
okay.
that is still a challenge, and that is where I think that will become easier soon, but that is still you need to have traditional engineering skills, and how you deploy, how do you manage, how do you support, and whatnot is still a challenge. So really comes again where I said earlier is observe everything, make sure that you have proper data, capture the proper data, look at it. And there are a lot of AI tools now available to look at it and react. And if there is any anomaly, if there are any issues to alert and learn from the mistakes so that some of the things that we do today of some of the first level support, we don't even page engineers. Our AI can handle it. It learns from the mistake. It says, okay, yeah, we did last time this, so we put it back in our memory. Any mistakes or any fixes or any issues that we do handle, we put it back in our what we call so that an agent can, next time if it happens, it knows what to do, how to react, and how to address it, so that it doesn't page our engineers middle of the night to get up and address. We try, those things have come down a lot. Um, that is going to be the challenge again. Sorry, back to that, infrastructure and reliability is going to be still the challenge, and I think that will make it easy in coming days, but that is still you have to have a traditional background will help.
Yeah, yeah. So as far as just kind of transitioning to leveraging your technical expertise to grow the business, right? So you've got extensive experience in building platforms at scale and leading large engineering teams. It just provides you a unique perspective. So how can growth stage SaaS companies best leverage deep technical expertise combined with AI driven insights to make strategic decisions that drive both product innovation and overall business growth?
Yeah, and I think I gave already another example how we came up with a new feature. It's really looking at our data and how our agents and the questions and intent that customer complaints, and we built and launched a feature, right? So the proof pack. It's really from the thing is most underrated, which from my comeback, from my background, learning so many startups on my own, the LeadDuo, is that the biggest insight that you have and underrated is your own product insights. In the past, you had to run surveys. We used to have surveys. We do people. Now we don't need any of that. You can just look at your logs, look at your how things going on. we should be able to make a lot of those decisions very quickly. As long as you feed it properly and ask your edge models, they are going to tell you, and you don't have to do a lot of stuff. The other thing that also what I have seen, which I kind of said is in the past and all, is the features is really based on your engineering resource. Now it's really all about how do we validate it? How do we, as the product features are being built, how do we validate before it touches the customer hand, it is solid, it didn't break past one, or it didn't break, because it builds fast. So sometimes a lot of things what we have seen in our own experiences, AI will say the feature is done, but really go deep into the code, it'll just put a comment and say it is done. It'll create a test and the test will pass. But really in the code, it will just simply return simple if statement whatnot. It's not really, didn't even really build the feature. It just simply returns what you are expecting and says this is done. So there are a lot of things in the guardrails. It's really the validation part of it is where we see there is a challenge. There are tools there, but most of our time right now spent is on validating what the feature is being done, and whether it's manual testing or having AI writing its own code, having AI writing it actual end user way, using some of the tools, visual tools to go log in, validate, and see if it is really working. That is where we have been putting our effort. The other thing that we have also seen, which we put heavily our focus or measure our engineer is the token AI token usage. We don't want engineers to write hand code stuff. We kind of gone from that. We tell our engineers, hey, why did you write the code on your own? It's kind of become, because it's expensive. Yes, AI token is also very expensive, or AI token builds are pretty expensive, but having engineers sit and write is even more expensive. So we really focus on one of the metrics that we track. With all other metrics in the past, people used to do this DORA metrics, how fast we're launching the features, how fast the mean time to recovery, all those DORA metrics. Now we have also looked at it, the AI token usage, how much AI token they're using it, how fast the feature is being built and launched. And so we look at that. Again, back to what we are saying is, from our engineering point of view, really the time is spent on validating the feature. It's not building the feature. Building features become easy and cheap. It's validating and making sure we can deploy, our users will be happy, and it doesn't break anything. And we don't lose our existing customer base, because we are growing, we are early stage. Just because early stage doesn't mean that we can make mistakes, but we don't want to, our very high focus is we don't want to lose our existing customers. We don't want them to be angry customers. So that is where our heavy time is spent on most of the time.
Well, let's just just looking ahead here in terms of the future, what you said, validating, but in terms of the future of AI and just scaling the tech side even further, where do you see the biggest opportunities? I mean, you touched on how you have leveraged opportunities to leverage technology. But what do you see the biggest opportunities for AI to further transform, how tech businesses, especially, build, scale, and maintain platforms? I mean, you hit on, the guardrails, the validation. That validation's big. But what else? Tell me more.
Same thing, the AI side, I'll tell you, it's not science fiction anymore, right? So I think recently, both OpenAI and Anthropic said their model built product with millions lines of code, and they shipped it without any human intervention. So it's become already reality. It's not AI. Okay. So things have gone. So really for growth stage companies or early small stage companies is, they also need to start thinking, how do we, which I said earlier, right? So using a technical leader in the same room, and making sure your technical leader is aware of what is going on, keeping them, because the things that evolving super fast. What I thought I knew 2 days or 3 days ago is now already changed. It's like changing super fast. So your technical leader needs to be at the level of, I keep saying that, like an engineer, he cannot say that, hey, I'm good, I know, I'm the master, I'm VP, I'm CTO, I know everything. No, things change, things evolve super fast. So you have to be in touch and constantly keep up yourself with, so your technical leader or whomsoever has to keep up with what is going on, so that they can make the right decision and keep adapting to the new processes. And you have to also be very careful, because the processes change and these new things are still very early, it's not mature. You're going to have a lot of issues. So you have to make your own judgment from the experience. What should I adapt? What should I take it from there? What is going on? And do it. One other thing that I have learned in the last few months, in the past, refactoring, hey, I want to rebuild the future, I want to redo. Refactor is in engineering is considered as a bad word, because it's a cost.
It is.
I'm going to use right? I'm going to lose a lot of time. I'm going to, okay, and now I cannot, my engineers wanted to say, hey, there is a lot of bugs and I have refactor. That means I'm lost 1 sprint, 2 sprint, 3 sprints because they're going to go sit and I just don't know what is going to come out. Now, refactor has become cheap. Your AI can do refactor overnight. You just tell AI, hey, it'll refactor it. So refactor has become easy and cheaper. So it gives you an advantage to retry and just make sure that it doesn't break. Your knowledge about what you have built, what you have, some of the things I'm trying to be very careful of not spill a lot of beans. Sorry about that. You're really making sure that all your product decisions, your the knowledge graph, the data, whatnot, properly documented, maintained in the memory so that when you refactor, agent refactors or rewrites or builds it, we don't lose that. That's how your focus has been. Our focus has been of late mostly making sure that all our learnings are properly documented, whether it's a skills or whether it's an agents file or the skills.md or whether it is in our memory file, whatever it is, and making sure that is not stale, continuously updated and cited with where and how, and so that these things becomes easy and simpler and agents becomes doesn't make the same mistake, or when you build a new feature we don't lose or break something old stuff.
I'll tell you, MB, this discussion has been incredibly insightful. I guess for the listeners who want to learn more about you and LeadDuo, where can they find you online?
They can go to leadduo.io. That's our website, our product. Our company is called 3Core AI, so 3core.ai. They can go and check it, and then they can see. And if they have any, always, they can post or email to me through our company contact page, and I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Thank you again for sharing, your valuable insights. And this concludes our podcast.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for your time. Thanks for having me and giving me the opportunity.